All right, we are now live. Everybody, welcome to the EC Barrow Discovery News broadcast. Today we have a special guest, Baltimore Galvin Jr. And I know I asked you about your first name yesterday. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes, yes, sir, you did.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, well, some of the discussion that we got into yesterday, we might do a repeat of it today because I know part of it, the episode was, only 30 minutes long, and I wish I could have kept it going longer. Um, and I did upload that for viewers. I did upload that to my YouTube channel. So that episode from last night's show, for anyone who actually missed our first radio show on the Squatch Zone Radio, you can find that now on my YouTube channel archives. So, and also you can still find it on my on the radio archives, because we actually got into some really interesting discussions yesterday, and you know we were hearing some great stuff. We were sharing some information back and forth, and there's a couple questions I asked you on the show last night. I think I'm going to probably go ahead and ask you again, just to recap on a couple things, and that way then I guess we might be able to take it from there. And then I'm gonna in a little bit I'm gonna look at the live chat and see if viewers have questions. And by the way, after we went off of air yesterday, I learned that there was a live chat through the radio show yesterday. There were a couple people interacting. I didn't discover it till we were done. But Nikki and another lady by the name of Karen, they were actually discussing, and they actually had questions. And now I know there's a live chat and where to find it. I'll be able to watch that on our next episode. um, let's see. Um, right now, Belvedere, I want to ask. First of all, let's recap. Now, we were discussing about you being a Native American. If wonder if you want to share with us a couple things here. First of all, uh, what what's your bloodline on the as far as Native American goes, and then we're going to get into talking a little bit more. We'll get into a little bit more related to Bigfoot, and we can talk about some of the experiences that you shared with us. Uh,
Sure. My band is Lipan Apaches down here in South Central Texas,
okay,
and
okay,
mhm.
all right, Apache. Okay, now, now with Apache, yeah, you said there's down there. You also have there's a name that you guys give Bigfoot down there, and can you share with us what that name is?
Well, we actually call it El Fantasma Negro, the Black Ghost, and that's what we actually call it because there's sometimes when people see it, they actually see a black shadow just go by in the basically in the daytime and also at night. So that's
Mm.
what we call it. Yep.
Now, is that a majority of the time? Is that mainly what people claim to see, or I mean, has there been anyone ever actually claimed to see a actually solid figure? You know,
I saw the figure like around 40 yards away, and it was dark black, and it's like everybody described it. It was solid black, and the hands went a little bit past the knees, a little tilted on the front. So, and then when we went back to go investigate, there was actually a real strong odor, a real strong
mm,
smell.
how would you describe that odor?
Best way to describe it would be like a wet dog, real musky smell with some like rancid eggs mixture with it. There was also times too where your eyes can actually burn it a little bit
Ooh,
because it was there. Yeah.
okay. All right, I'm opening up the live chat. Okay. Now there's a couple other questions that we talked yesterday, and I want to ask again because um, there's questions that I hear brought up different topics and questions that are asked a lot most often. Um, now I asked you yesterday, last night, about a possible um, what's the right word? A language, which and then you actually explained pretty well as far as what your description of what the sounds of you've heard, and that you actually never really experienced anything as far as language. But what do you know about as far as their sounds and everything related to
Their sou-
language?
their sounds are kind of weird. I've actually heard a mix like a whistling sound like a dolphin with mixed with a parrot. It was a real strange sound. It sounds I never heard before.
Mm.
A lot of yelling, screaming. a lot of whistling sounds, tree knocking, to basically to that effect.
Hmm. Um, Now another thing also, now you notice, and I know on my next question here, and I remember your response to this yesterday, and I believe it's safe to say in most areas, and I could say in my area, they're the same. As far as the next question would, I want to ask you is, are they aggressive in your area? And I remember your response, but we're gonna share with the audience. But now I know in my area they're not. Now I've never seen no signs or evidence of them being aggressive. Now rock throws, I don't know. That's a question I want to get your opinion on in a little bit. But as far as them aggressive, know, you said you never noticed them as them being aggressive, right?
They were not too aggressive. There was one instance where it was down a creek bottom where I was actually throwing apples there. I was throwing it for a few months, and then I heard deep breathing sounds down the creek. I was top of this tree, and
Hmm.
what I normally do is take a camera and photograph the wildlife. Um, this particular day, I actually heard deep breathing sounds coming down the creek. And then so I was on top of the tree, so I never heard that sound before. First thing I thought of maybe was a hog or something. So
Hmm.
I was up there. Like I was up there for a few minutes, came down, and the deep breathing stopped. And then I went back up the tree, and the noise started again. So it kind of freaked me out. So after that, so I decided to get on my truck and go back home. And then after that, when I came back a couple of days later, the tree was actually knocked down.
Hmm. Huh. Now, communication. You brought up a couple things in communication, and I personally, on my part, it's a topic in different ways of communicating that I've spoke on a lot in the past, and actually somewhat recently on my webcast. Now, as far as forms of communication, what in your opinion, or what you have observed, what are ways that Sasquatch communicates to you, or in general with others?
Basically, your knocking sounds.
Hmm.
Your knocking sounds are very important. For me, it's like an indication, that they're there,
Hmm.
or maybe even warning other members of their family that there's somebody there in the forest or in the woods. Sometimes you would actually hear the yelling sound or a whooping sound.
Hmm.
So the sounds are very unique.
Yeah. Now, one response I've shared this on more than one occasion, and I mean, I know it's just it's not in big and special, but I'll never forget it. I mean, I've got responses before, but this one particular time, and like I said, I've shared this quite often. But when I was hiking through the woods, and coming down and off of one ridge, going up to another ridge, and after getting up to that high ridge, we decided to take a rest. It was me and two other individuals, and we decided to rest. But I had a block of wood in my hand that I was carrying with me. It was a piece of cut up firewood, but it was some soft pine, and I used it to do tree knocks. Well, after hiking and getting to that location, I decided while everyone was sitting down resting, I said, "Guys, I'm going to do a tree knock." But I did that tree knock, and right away, within seconds, from that same ridge we just came from to the far left, you get a clear, distinct wood on wood knock. And then 3 to 5 seconds later, from that knock over to the far right, from that same ridge, you get another one, distinct wood on wood knock. And I mean, to me, maybe to some people that's not all that exciting, but to me it was, knowing that you heard it so loud and clear, it was close, and it's just the way it worked. It wasn't just one response, but it was two, and indicating that it was more than one subject there. Even though I didn't see them, but they were responding or replying to what I did. Which triggered that response. It's like, okay, they let me know that's like the way I felt. It was like a location thing. Okay, one's there, the other one say, hey, well, I'm over here. So I mean, that's the way I took it. Just in the way they responded. In the like a location thing. But I'll never forget that. I just that's one of my observations. But like I said, I've gotten responses before, but not like that, not more than once. You know, um, so I mean, yeah, I believe in the Sasquatch world. I believe that is, to me personally, a form of one of their many forms of communication. But um, hmm. Now, I'm trying to remember some of the questions that were on the live chat yesterday. You know, I know we agree that in your area they're not aggressive. I know I never noticed anything aggressive in my area. Now, what about rock throws? What do you think throwing rocks are? Is that just more like intimidation, like, hey, kind of you're getting too close, get out of here, kind of thing?
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Because I gathered the couple of stories I've gathered that from was actually a couple of friends of mine. Um, well, I've actually had one. I had a small one thrown at me about a year ago, but I keep thinking about two incidents that happened to some friends of mine. One was one gentleman, a good friend of mine. He was hunting, and this is what got him involved with wanting to look into the Sasquatch, and he was going up a trail, a wooded, it was well wooded area, and there was kind of like a high ground to his left, and he had a fairly large rock come flying down with force. Didn't hit him, but it came close to him, and I guess he realized, okay, that wasn't a bear. It was, where it came from, it couldn't have been nobody up there. As far as he knows, there was no one there, just him and his hunting partner up ahead of him. Um, then another location where campers actually got large rocks thrown into their campsite. So in that particular area, there's been other reports of surrounding that area. So it's something's telling me there's something there, and they're more or less. I don't take that as aggression. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, yeah, but I don't think it would ever hurt anybody. um, then again, I know there's been other reports where reports like I guess many years ago where supposedly cabins has been attacked or assaulted, and stuff like that. But um, I don't know. Um,
Um, I also collect a lot of I do a lot of studies here in Beeville, and I have my own little group, Bigfoot group coming here in Beeville, and I listen to all these individual stories here. Um, the story, like in 1925, there was three gentlemen inside their cabin. Um, uh, they didn't have any screens on their cabin, and then so they heard these strange knocking on the side to this little house. The house was made like 1 by 12s, and they were thinking that the horses or the cattle was hitting them. Sure enough, they just got nothing of it, so they just popped open the window with a stick and just started going to sleep. And then they heard another knock on their little cabin. So they lit the little lanterns that they had on, and all of a sudden this animal just sticks his whole head into the window and
hmm.
just makes a big old whoo sound and just sticks his head back out and just takes off. And this actually happened here in 1925, and this is actually one of the stories that I actually have recorded.
Okay, that came from down in your area.
Correct.
Okay. I want to jump in. Ask Steve. I know Steve's probably on standby. I know he had some questions, I'm sure, but I want to give him a chance to throw something in there. What about Steve? You have anything for Baltimore?
I'm just listening, man. This is really cool. The in the Native American culture where you're at, do you all do any kind of rituals or anything that involves the Sasquatch, like any
Um,
dances or what I mean, any kind of ceremonies?
there is other tribes do it. We just leave like offerings behind. Um, we just leave like fruit and stuff like that. Just basically not for Bigfoot, but basically for the other animals and the spirits there in the woods. Um, that's what we do.
Hmm. Um,
That's pretty cool.
see, I'm pulling up a couple pictures here. I'm gonna see if I can find the ones I had pulled up yesterday. Hold on here. Let me back up this one. All right, I'm gonna try to screen share something here. See if I'm doing this right. Yeah, here we go. All right. Now this picture right here, I don't. Oh, you're on your phone, so you probably can't see this picture, can you, Baldemar?
I can barely see it.
Okay, because I got it. Okay, yeah, I got a picture pulled up here. It's you in the. It looks like you're in the field, and you're in. You're dressed up in.
Regalia.
What's that?
Regalia.
Oh, okay,
It's called
okay,
regalia.
okay. Because this one here, yeah, you crouched over in this one here. Okay, and you got the white uh white paint on your face and around the black eyes. And
Right.
yeah. Now, do you do this for like? Do you participate in different like I guess powwows as far as uh like reenactment type things for the Native American history and all?
I talk a lot about Native American history, and I go to a lot of powwows. We do a lot of
Okay,
programs for kids. We teach a lot of Native American history.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, actually, there was one picture. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up. There was one picture I had where it shows that you were demonstrating something or performing something in front of some young children, and it was I thought was pretty cool. So, yeah, I was looking through some of these pictures here. Let me see if I can go back through and pull up another one here. Um, Now I see. Wait, hold on. There was a footprint, some kind of track right here in the sand or dirt. Now,
Down in South Texas, we have a lot of caliche, down there. That's limestone powder,
oh,
and I actually found that in a road, and I thought that was very odd. I couldn't have enough time to. I didn't have enough time to cast it, so I just took a photo of it.
that is interesting because I'm
That is a
seeing.
cool print.
What's that?
That is a cool print.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you could see it. How well you could see
Yeah,
it,
I can
Steve.
see it. I can see it good. That's a cool track there.
Yeah, because you can see. I can see what appears to be toes up here,
You know,
and you can see the whole outline of the outside of the foot here, which is pretty cool. Let's see what we got. Yeah, now this is pretty cool right here. Let's see what else we got. Now, how often do you do this, Baltimore?
It depends. There's some times when we do like veterans programs, I put my face paint on. When we go to
Okay.
powwows, same thing. If you notice, the face paint's always different. Uh,
Right.
it's never alike. So, and then I
Hmm.
like taking. My fiance takes wonderful pictures of myself and all different types of backgrounds. And so
Awesome.
we just try to make it as best as we possibly can. Uh,
This one here. I like this one here. Of course, if you know, this is what I use as a promo for this the show tonight. Now, I know sometimes I don't know. Let me ask you this: the different colors of the paint on the face, do they represent different things?
it basically, there's some times that people put it on for intimidation when they're
Oh.
at war. They try to be as fierce as possible when they're fighting their enemies. So I
Ah.
just so I just try to make my face paint as fierce as possible. So
Okay. That's pretty cool. I've always been fascinated with Native American, styles and just there's a lot about them I don't know. That's why I like asking questions and stuff about Native Americans and stuff. But well, I want to ask a few questions related to some of the things I hear other people talk about and share when they're looking for Bigfoot. A lot of people try to. I don't know. Maybe you've heard this too. They'll go into the woods and they'll start speaking, like Indian language, like Cherokee, for example. I know people that have gone out and spoken simple phrases using Cherokee, and they claim they get responses from these. I don't know. What's your opinion about that? There, I mean, do you think it's just a coincidence that they're just getting a response from some of these native, languages that they're throwing out there?
I really can't say. Everything depends upon the people and the sounds that they actually hear. So I
Right.
really can't because
Hmm.
the Cherokees do things one certain thing, and I basically do something else. So
Okay.
mhm.
Now, Well, yeah. How about you? Would you mind sharing that with us? Like, what do you when you're out there? If you're looking for them, do you do anything to try to draw their attention to you?
I, me personally, I do not go looking for them.
Okay.
I just stay put. I just
Hmm.
stay put, and I just listen where they're at, and just listening to their knockings or their screaming. You know, once in a while, there's days when you don't hear them,
Right.
but there's sometimes then, and then all of a sudden they yell, and you know, we sometimes been nicknamed a grita feo, basically he who screams ugly. So there's sometimes when you actually hear it, you know, then you know that it's close by. So you
Huh.
know, yeah. So the thing is, again, you're looking at miles, quarter of a mile, half a mile where they're at, but you can basically pinpoint where they're at.
Sweet.
But I never go in there physically looking for them because I don't want to go in there and just scare them away because that's basically their home. And
Right.
if I go in there and do something in there, you know, and I may never see them again. So I just want them to be making sure that they know that no harm will come to them. You know, I don't go in at night after them. I just, you know, that's basically their time.
Right. So, all right. I mean, because I like that. Where you basically, as far as you know, you want to just be relaxed, be nonchalant when you're out there. Like I got an outing coming up in September, and you know, when we're out there camping, we're going to be out there roughly a good 6 days, and I mean, yeah, we're going to hike and explore, but I mean, what would be your advice as far as when we're out there, as far as you know? Um, if something I don't as far as we shouldn't really I mean should we be more relaxed than anything and try not
You,
to
you always have to be in your guard.
right
Always be in your guard because you got wild pigs in there, a lot of wild pigs that they'll be chasing after you, and you know you have to be in your guard at all times. You have
right
rattlesnakes out here. I mean, we have some
oh yeah
poisonous spiders. I mean, we got things like that that really can really get somebody real hurt. We got a lot of
mm.
poison ivy out here. I mean, we got a lot of stuff that can really get somebody hurt if they don't know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, like I know in our area, well, let's say my area, I know up around here, I'm sure, Steve's got it in his area. I mean, I've seen like, Black Panthers, across the road in my area because it's part of a national forest, and we've got tons of deer. There's bobcat. There's rattlesnakes. Oh, and then you get the copperheads. They're the two main poisonous snakes that we actually have in our area up here. But and then certain parts of Southwest Virginia, I know there's elk. Um, but yeah, most of the time in my area, I've actually observed a lot of the main animals I encounter either through visual or through sound, or mainly your like owls at night. You'll hear them hooting and stuff. Um, and this is something else I want to ask. Do you believe that Sasquatch imitates other animals?
Oh, sure, for sure. There
Hmm.
because the thing is now they're starting to imitate cattle.
Oh,
They're
really?
actually starting to move like a cow. When there's been areas out there where so some people have been telling me that they actually been hearing something in the woods like a cow, but they didn't have any cows in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it mimics. I mean, it mimics it mimics animals well. The coyotes are a big key. Once they go over there and they kill something, you know, the Bigfoot would go over there and just run them off, you know, for their kill. That's the
Hmm.
kind of stuff that you have to listen for. Sometimes you could actually hear a pack of coyotes on one side, and then all of a sudden when they start calling, and there's only one or two that have this real different sound, and if you have to have a real good ear to hear it.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I've heard from several other people that they do imitate certain animals. And hold on one second. And I've always considered it. I never that's something I never threw out. But at the same time, I know some of our known animals have been known to uh sometimes their sounds could be thrown off a little bit. And you know, a lot of people, they'll hear a sound they're not entirely familiar with and just say, "Oh, that's Sasquatch." But I know at the same time, a lot of people don't realize even our known species, like you know, like for example, owls. For example, sometimes their hoots and their howl, you know, their vocalizations, like a barred owl, for example. You know, I've heard them kind of a deep tone, and sometimes I've heard them like a extended hoot type sound. And you know, sometimes they've make sounds that most of us are not really familiar with. I know sometimes even coyotes stuff they can have a off pitch sound, but so I think
Correct.
yeah sometimes I think it's kind of hard, you know, you because I've heard things out there like was that what I thought it was, or could that be something, you know, like that's, you know, I don't know. I mean, I know it could be kind of I don't know what the right word to use, but there's certain sounds that can really throw us off sometimes if we're really not familiar with certain ones.
Oh, for
Uh,
sure. See, the
yeah,
thing also too, have you ever seen a ringtail cat?
a ringtail cat. I can't say that I have.
Well, there's some here in South Texas, and their mating season is during the wintertime. And when you hear these animals fight with each other, it's a totally different sound. But the person that really knows what they are can really identify them. But people that don't, they could honestly say that it could be a squatch. But the thing is, again, you have to know your animals. You have to know your species, what the sounds they make, and a lot of it too has to do with the weather as well. If it's real cold out there, the sounds will travel. And then if you have a mixture of a couple of animals calling to each other, that could be a big confusion, thinking that it's actually a squash out there.
Hmm. Huh. Oh, hold on. I was trying to respond to somebody here at the same. Nikki was actually she made a correction on the time I posted on my thing. Um, because I put the wrong central time for everybody. Yeah, yeah, central time. I mean, I had times right, but I had the central and mountain time, Pacific time wrong. So she actually corrected that in a comment. I was just kind of responding to that for. I always get confused on all that anyway, so that's why I usually just put Eastern time. That way, I let everyone else figure out Eastern time. So yeah, thanks for that, Nikki. I appreciate that. Um, Let me check the live chat. For viewers, if you're watching, if you have a question for Baldemar, the live chat is open, and I am refreshing it right now as we speak. Steve, meanwhile, till I get to the live chat, do you have anything you want to share?
Do you all have any other things like skinwalkers or anything like that excuse me for a second, that they that your culture believes in, or
We have like legends like the lechusa, basically it's half woman and half owl. That basically is say that's out there. We have legends of the big bird that people have actually seen out here. We have legends of the goat man that people have actually sworn that they've
we had
seen.
that out here. We had the goat man here and out here near where we are too.
Mm.
Um,
Now, this kind of brings up another question here.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you've heard of the dog man. Well, and then I know there's, in Native legends, there's, there was a tribe of, a group of Indians known as the Dog Men, but they were specifically just men. Um, but now, as far as the legend of Dog Man, I mean, what's your theory behind that, or do you believe that, in your opinion, do you believe something like that would exist?
Um, there's some. I've actually seen documentation stuff on TV where people actually did see it, but I do not. I'm not too familiar with them. With that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
sometimes dealing with the skinwalkers, they were saying that medicine men were actually turned into these skinwalkers.
Ah.
See, and
Huh.
there's a lot of legends and folklore that have been passed down for years.
Right. Yeah, I know there's a lot of mystery behind there. As far as behind all the different legends and everything. Um, and just for the record, I'm looking at the live chat. Oh, okay. Hold on. Here's the first question. Because I was trying to figure out what Nikki was saying on the live chat. Then she asked a question. I don't know if, but she's asking where are you from? And you are from what's a location in Texas you're from?
I'm from Bebo. I'm basically in the middle between San Antonio and Corpus Christi.
Okay. All right. There you go, Nikki. Feel free to keep on asking questions. I'm looking at the live chat right now, so I'm sure we'll get some more here. Nikki's great at bringing up questions. So, um, tell you what, if you bear with me. All right, hold on. Give me 1 second here. Um,
If you were to have if you were to have an encounter, is there a, I'm not gonna say like a police department, like a regular police. Is there like is there a tribal police department you could go to that would handle that, or a tribal elder or something you could talk to, or?
There's no reservations where I'm from.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, no reservations where I'm from. When I normally see something like that or hear something like that, I would rather get it on video or get it on tape and actually record what the person actually seen it, and then maybe talk to their neighbors about it if they actually seen it around there, and go from there.
I really like what you said last night when we were talking, because you had said you mark everything down on a calendar to see if it comes back around, how it repeats itself, or to see if it's a cycle to it.
Right.
That's a really good idea. That's really cool.
See, the thing is, if everybody does that, and they'll come up, let's say, for example, if it came out in March, let's say March 17th, and it was but the thing is, it's good to write down the weather conditions. If it was a clear night, a wet night, or whatever, and then so you just write everything down, what actually happened. It's just like writing down patterns for migratory birds, because
Yeah.
and once you get a timeline like that, and then after that, for the following year, you can expect, hey, I heard it this month. I know it's around here, so let's take a big look at it again, and maybe you can get your recorder out early and try to catch it on the recorder.
That's a great idea.
hmm. Uh, I was gonna actually invite Nikki on to join us, but she's not feeling well. Her throat's killing her right now. So, but she does have another question here on the live chat. The question she has for you, Baldemar, is, what got you started into the Bigfoot mystery?
What got me started into the Bigfoot mystery? I've always, since I was small, I've always been fascinated with it, and I've always thought that Bigfoot was in California or further up north, and I never thought that it could actually happen around my hometown. And then
Hmm.
so when I had my encounter, I did not know who to talk to. And then I finally talked to this elder of mine, or a good friend of mine, and we started swapping Bigfoot stories. And then after that, he had me talk to some other people that actually had Bigfoot encounters. And then all of a sudden, so we decided to have a little meeting, and sure enough, a few people showed up and they told their stories, and all of a sudden, more people told their stories. So I said, and it just got me just going again. So this actually has been uh, new to me, really, because I've actually started here, really started pretty hard with the past couple of years.
Awesome. And Nikki wants to know, are you associated with any group, or whether it be your group or a group that you started, which I do believe you mentioned earlier, or yeah, as far as groups, what do you know about groups, if you're or are you associated with one?
I just started one up here. It's called the B County Research Group, um, and that's where I started. So I haven't had a meeting for a while, and I'm going to be having one hopefully in a few more weeks because I have some more evidence. I like when I have my meetings and everything like that to make sure that I can tell the people about more encounters that actually happen here, basically that happened here. So,
Awesome. So yeah, like you guys get together and as far as compare notes or share information that maybe you've got all gathered and see if there's anything similar with each other's as far as occurrences or findings throughout
right,
observations, stuff like that.
correct.
Okay. Awesome. Hold on, we got another question. Oh, okay. Now I don't know. Are you first of all, before I ask this question, are you familiar with the GCBRO?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay. Because she was asking that if you have ever dealt with any of them. Um, Now she said they are pro kill, but what's your view on? I do believe you answered this yesterday on last night's radio show. But now, as far as kill and no kill, what's your stance on that?
No kill. No
Okay,
kill. Yeah, but the thing
absolutely.
is, again, the thing is, what happens if the species that we're looking at is one of the very last of its kind,
Hmm.
and if you kill it, well, there it goes. So the
Right.
thing is, again is there's people that come up there and say, well, I'm going to shoot it, blah 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 blah. But the thing is, again, is like hunters. Uh, uh, I'm a hunter. Basically, I kill for my meat.
Right.
And why kill a Bigfoot if you can't eat it?
Yep.
So
Right.
I agree with you 100%.
yeah,
You know,
and there's people out there that want to see it and kill it just to get fame, and that's not one thing. You come up there and you catch it on film. You come up there and you find part of his hair, you find tracks, and try to get some DNA, making sure that hey, we're really talking about a species out here. At least get the proof. That's what I look. That's what my goal is.
Right.
But killing wise, it's nonsense.
Right.
I don't think anything should be killed senseless just to prove it exists. It has a
Exactly.
right to exist. It has a right to live. Unless it's coming after you and you have no other option but to defend your life. And I mean I'm talking about extremely, an extreme moment. Maybe then, but it would take that. It's just not something I don't think it's right.
Right. Okay. Yeah, yeah, like what you said, I agree with what you said, and I've heard others say the same thing, especially scientists that we've had on the in the past on this podcast. Question is, we asked the question is, what would be the best way to get evidence, or how would we be able to get evidence that would be considered any bit that would have any credibility to it, along with sending in a possible DNA sample, and it's basically what you just said too was if it would take now a lot of people will not agree with this. It depends on how they look at it. But as far as having video footage with a possible subject leaving behind a sample that you could collect while video in the stores, that one may have a big it may it may gain a lot of credibility, but at the same time there's going to be that doubt from wherever, um, especially science maybe. Uh, but we were told by a scientist that that would be the best bet right now if you could videotape the source that you're collecting it from, if there's any way possible, especially if we came across a body. By some miracle, we come across a body, but we just so happen to collect samples from it. Because of those samples could be become contaminated. You want to, we were always told get video footage of the actual specimen, and then the type of samples that you're collecting from it. For example, I've always imagined something like that happen. I always thought about, okay, if I come across a body somewhere out in my explorations in the woods, I was like, I wouldn't know how to react just finding the body, because even if I do find a body, my concern is, okay, where's the other ones? They might be guarding this body. You know what I mean? Or maybe it just died, and so the other ones might not be far away. So I might be putting myself in danger. If they're going to protect that body. So um,
I think outside of one getting shot by somebody, I think if one turns up, I think it's going to wind up being hit by a car. That's just my opinion. Because you get so many people, eyewitnesses saying these things are running across traffic and running, and they evidently they get out in freeways at night in the rain and get turned around, and it's been a lot of encounters like that.
Right. Hmm. Now, Baltimore, Nikki's asking. She's just curious. Do you have a YouTube channel, or do you post your videos, or do you have a location or a website or anything where you share information
No,
publicly?
sir. No, sir, I don't.
Okay.
Just my Facebook page.
Okay.
There's some times when I find something and I just don't know what it is. It could be a double track or something like that, and I
Right.
just don't want to put it out there just saying that it is Bigfoot because there's some times that it could be a double track,
Right.
and I don't want to be category put it in a category that I'm trying to hoax something,
Right.
Uh, I
Exactly.
want to be, yeah, I want to be 100% accurate before I put it out there. I'll probably contact somebody and tell them, hey, I found this. What do you think about this? And then when they and and then after that, and then I'll put it up and I'll say, well, what do y'all think about it?
Right.
So,
I
mhm.
absolutely. I do a lot of the same thing with, like, I find, I take pictures of different formations or structures that I find interesting. And I'm not saying they belong to Sasquatch, but yet it could be something natural. There's some things that are natural that I can't always claim for sure that they're natural causes, but I do post things and let people make their own speculation about it. I might make a comment that I believe this could be from Sasquatch, but I can't say for sure because we didn't see what made it. Um, I think it's in a number of cases there's some that we could clearly rule out, other sources, but at the same time, especially in the woods, I get down trees. I mean, what forest does not have down trees and stuff? Weather pushes, breaks stuff all the time, and then you got your wildlife that does damage to a lot of the trees and stuff. But what I find interesting is some of the formations or structures I find. To me, they appear to be like a Native American structure or formation, of some sort. Um, but yeah, that's a lot of times I'll share stuff for let everyone make a discussion out of it. Um, but one thing I will throw out there, and I've shared it before. If you ever have information that you want to throw out there, or if you ever want to do a writing on something, um, you feel free. Anyone's welcome. I'll allow other people to use my blog site. If you want to send me information and you want to put into a blog to document something, um, I'll take your information. I'll put it in a blog, and I'll feel free. I will definitely make sure whoever's information is being shared, they will get the credit for it. Just for future reference, if you ever want to do anything like that, feel free. Because I have a website. I post a lot of random blogs in there. There's a few reports in there and stuff like that, but I just want to throw that out there. If you ever want to share information or write up a blog about anything, even pictures, if you have pictures that you want to go be associated with that blog, like I said, feel free to share it with me, and I'll put it in a blog for for you, and then I'll make sure you get credit for that blog. Uh, um, I'm sorry, Steve, you were about to say something?
I was just going to ask a question. That's all when you got done.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. I was just throwing that out there.
A little more. I'm not real familiar with the wildlife of Texas. I know y'all are infested with hogs down there. I know there's wild turkeys. I know there's deer and whatnot. Now, do you all have any kind of bears in Texas?
No bear. Uh,
Okay, so
there's there's some times that an elk or two might escape on a ranch. We will probably might have some, like the game ranches might have holes in on their gate fences where some of these exotic animals will come out. We have stuff like that there. Um, but again, it's because down these creeks, you never know what you're going to find down
well, the
there.
reason I'm asking, if somebody saw Bigfoot, is there any animal that's native to Texas or that would be there that they could be mistakenly seeing? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like where I'm at, we got a
Yeah.
bunch of black bears, so it could be mistaken. But if you don't have any bear in Texas, then what else could they be seeing? But You know.
But the thing is also too, there's sometimes hogs get like 200, 300 pounds. They get
Oh yeah.
massive. And then after that, and then you talk about your black cattle. A squash to come down over there and just get down on all fours, and you look at it from a distance, you could actually say it was a wild pig or a cow. You just and even with looking through binoculars, you could see the big bodies and everything like that, and with black hair. But if you stay there looking at it for a while and actually see it move, or if it stands up and takes off, then it's a squash. If it runs off, it's a cow or a wild pig.
Yeah.
So
If it's
the
two
thing is,
legs, it's definitely Bigfoot.
oh, for
That
sure.
makes sense. That's cool. That's good.
Yeah. See, the thing is, again, for me, is that it's always good to have a good set of binoculars. When you're out, it's always real good to know your wildlife is also out there as well. A long time ago, they were actually saying that there was a black panther also seen out there, but this was in the 70s. But if they're seeing it in the 70s, what they could possibly be some more still around, with that color of black.
Hmm.
Wow.
All right. Well,
I've
we
got to
got
come to Texas.
to.
Just to kill some pigs. I got to go to Texas.
There you go. I know some of the biggest wild pigs come from down south.
Man.
Got a couple more questions here. These are good questions right here. Uh, first question is how many researchers are in your group?
None. None.
Okay. All right. Now, I mean, how would you consider like the group that or the individuals in your group? I mean, what is like? How would you describe the group in general?
They're basically older. They're an older crowd, 70s, late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
Uh, what I basically do is I collect their stories. And
Ah,
see, the thing is, again, because once these old timers leave, there's nobody around to listen to their stories anymore. And
gotcha.
to me, that is gold for me. It's if they pass away, their story's over, and nobody's going to hear the story again. That's why I have it in the recorder. And
Gotcha.
to me, that's the most important thing. And I already know the areas where they actually seen it, where the areas where people have actually seen it. It's the areas have not changed, maybe overgrown a little bit, but the areas that they actually walk, they're still there. There's been there. These trails have been there for hundreds of years.
Very good. Yeah, because I always thought it was best, especially when you get information from an older, gentleman. I know a couple of my reports come from an older gentleman, and and he's a gentleman who spent most of his life grown up in the woods and and observing the different wildlife, especially around the areas around here. And he's shared information with me about a lot of the known wildlife he's encountered and seen what they do. And this gentleman here, he's actually a skeptic when it comes to Bigfoot. I mean, he believes there is something out there, but as far to say to go along the lines of the Sasquatch, he does investigations of his own when he hears about stuff. I mean, he's had things happen to him that he cannot explain. I feel little by little he's kind of leaning on, okay, there might just be some kind of primate of some sort out here, just from the little bit of information he's observed or experienced for himself. But so yeah, to hear stuff, from an older gentleman who's experienced stuff, who's very familiar with the outdoors and the wildlife. I love hearing stuff from from him because it's like he's to me that's more incredible, and it's and the information he shares is like to me it's real. Especially to hear from a skeptic the things they observe. And it's because he's not gonna to me even when I share stuff with him, he approaches me with his his view of skepticism, and he's like, well, he'll ask questions about it, and he'll try to be objective towards it, and over the years, he's actually taught me or helped me to become more objective in what I find and stuff, which and to look at things in a more logical sense. He's actually helped. He's one of the few individuals that actually helped me open my eyes to stay along in the line of reality versus fantasy or wanting everything to be about Bigfoot like a lot of people do. Everything that happens in the woods is a Bigfoot to a lot of people, and I'm not like that. Maybe at one time I kind of was. I was quick to jump on the Bigfoot train at everything I found, which I was wrong about that. But I feel it's more exciting and more educational if we could try to rule out or or find out the actual subject that created or whatever left behind that possible track or whatever evidence that might be. If we could more or less say, hey, that actually no, that's a bear. Well, that's cool if you could say, if you could pinpoint whatever to direct your knowledge of what that is. So yeah, to take from the older, the elders, I believe it's, you know, very wise, and you learn a lot from the older ones. So that's where through the years, I've gathered a little bit of information from, like you said, the older people. Because he shared with me a lot of his own stories, which I, um, I, I document them to a certain extent, and every now and then I'll ask him about those certain incidents and stuff, to kind of put together a little bit more of my own information. So, but that's pretty cool. Okay, and here's another question. Um, what is the most memorable moment or scariest moment you've ever had?
Uh, I want to say the incident about where the tree got knocked down. It took me at least 7 years for me to go back to that spot. And
Mm,
the thing is, again, but there's one thing that came to my head, after all these years and everything, at least that I know that there's something in those woods, and I know real well that it's not going to hurt me. And once I have that in my head, I could do that. But still, but there's sometimes when you actually hear these things and actually see it, and there's actually things in the woods that that they actually warned you about.
mm,
So the thing is, you have to realize is that it's not about an animal. It just wants to live just like us. So but the scariest one for me has to be the knockdown tree.
How close were you when that happened?
But now,
Yeah,
well, the
yeah,
the thing when I actually heard the sound.
yeah. Like when the sound of the tree that got knocked down. Like,
Okay, the
was it?
thing is, and when I hit that bottom to that tree, and I say, "Hey, something's hunting me," I just took off. I just left. And
Yeah.
I wasn't going to stay around to find out. The only thing I had in my hand was the camera. So
Well,
yeah.
that's cool.
But the thing is that sound. It was so loud that it actually felt like it was right behind me, or right underneath me, or behind the tree, or something.
Hmm,
It was a very, very. It's a sound that I will never forget.
nice. Yeah, I think all of us have had some kind of experience. I think we all have something we can share. It's always exciting to recap on something that we've been through or at whatever kind of event or occurrence that we've all experienced. Now, with your stories, the stories that you've gathered, and you want to document them.
Yes.
This has come from Nikki again. Um, have you ever thought about making a book as far as documenting the stories by creating a book, of these stories?
What I got was everybody who actually told a story. We have a map of B County, and they actually put it a little star or a little mark where the encounter actually happened. And
Hmm.
like that, I would actually know where the encounter actually happened. So
Hmm.
it's always good to have a map. It's always good to have a map. What is significant about why this animal is traveling the way he is?
Right.
And for me, is water. If he follows the rivers or he follows the creeks, but in my case, he follows the creeks. So and there's areas in B County that's pretty deep, and they hold water all year round, even when it's when the temperature is 110, 112 degrees.
Mm.
There a long time ago there was a whole bunch of old springs there, and some of them are still going, but in the deeper parts of the creek. Uh, so that's what makes it so mysterious about where I live at.
Mm. Now, like I know Steve asked you earlier about bears down there, and you said there's no bears. Uh, Now I know up here, up here in Virginia, and then you have other parts where here along the East Coast. Black bears are very well populated up here along the East Coast. In various states and stuff. Some maybe not so many, but we have a lot of them right here in Virginia. I mean, all over. I mean, I, I've been recently shared. They've been sighted up and down all. I mean, young ones, old ones, they're getting hit by cars. They're coming down off the mountain here over here because I got the mountain right here, literally in my backyard. I mean, we're surrounded by mountains over here, and then where I go, usually where I travel about an hour west of me, where I do a lot of my research in a couple of various locations. I mean, the bears are very well populated out there, big and small. Um, and this is part of my research, and I've shared through my observation where I've always seen bear tracks and bear signs. I always observe and learn to focus and study on bear signs because we know bears travel and follow the food source, especially the creek beds. Well, in my observation, I found Sasquatch signs, and I study bears enough to realize their tracks versus a Sasquatch track, and I've noticed that there's a pattern with Sasquatch and bears. I I see and believe that Sasquatches are following the bear patterns. Now I don't know if it's to cover their tracks or it's because it's just maybe it's a coincidence. I don't know. But over the years, I found this repeatedly over and over that it's like they have a similar pattern. Because they follow the creeks and and the food sources. Um, Now, as far as them traveling, I believe they do travel to a certain extent. Some people believe they travel a lot further, but I believe in my area they stay within the area, but they have a rotation in that area. Through some people believe during the hunting seasons they go to higher ground, which I believe that's possible. But at the same time, through my observations, I feel like they've been they may not be as active during the hunting season versus during the non-hunting out of season, but yeah, as far as my patterns, I found that they do the same thing up around here. If there's water sources, because we have a lot of streams, both of them, rivers, because a lot of the streams here that come down off the mountain, they're all spring fed from the mountains here. Um, so I believe, excuse me, I believe that yeah, they do the same thing up here like they do down there. But like I said, in this case here, I believe there's a pattern with the bears that they follow. Now, if that's to help throw off their pattern, I mean, I believe that's very possible. I can't say for sure, but that's kind of a theory that I'm somewhat developing. Um, Now, here's another question from Nikki. Um, she's asking, have you ever been to Big Thicket National Preserve?
No, I haven't.
No? Okay.
No.
I'm gathering that's maybe some part of National Forest or something down there, or I'm not sure what that is. Um, yeah, I think.
I wanted to say something as well. Seasons are very important. The seasons are
Oh,
very important
okay.
because the thing is, again, like during the fall time, we have a lot of acorns that fall out here,
Mm,
and then we have a lot of pecan trees that the pecan actually falls down there because it's actually a big old food supply also for them
mm,
because Nueces River has pecans on it, so that's why in Spanish it's called nueces, so basically means pecan.
mm,
And there's a lot. That's also a big source of food. And also too, like right now we have the mesquite beans that are coming out right now. It's also a big form of protein for these animals to eat, and they're abundant. There are thousands and millions of these beans everywhere. And then we
wow.
have the wild grapes that also come up here. There's a lot of food out here, but that's also too. It's very important for the seasons because that's where your berries come out. And as you well know, a lot of the Bigfoots like eating berries and nuts and things like that for their diet.
Mm. That's all right. That's pretty good. Um, 'Cause, I noticed in one of my recent outings, the one area I went into, it was a fairly new area. I mean, it's connected to my main area, but many miles apart from it, closer on into the West Virginia side. In this one particular area I was hiking through, a lot of blackberry bushes, real thick vegetation in there, and you can see where the thick, where all the blackberry bushes and stuff were all pushed in. Of course, the bears love berries and stuff like that too. Now, one thing I believe, or always wondered, but I believe there is a possibility that the Sasquatch will their diet consists of part of what bears eat. Um, but I know my last outing there when I was finding bear signs, I think I realized towards the further I went in, I was actually um, right behind the track of a bear. I was pretty much tracking a bear and didn't realize it. Because I know in my observation I kept coming across bear scat, and it looked fairly fresh. And at one point, something I did kick something up that was in a thicket, real thick, heavy. It must have been bedded down. It could have been a deer, but I got to thinking. I said, "Man, that." After I went through a little ways, I got to thinking about it, and after seeing the blackberry bushes like mashed down, I was like, "Man, I might have kicked up a bear." Because the further I went in, I was seeing more and more bear signs. They're very fresh. But and of course, the only thing I had on me was a Bowie knife. I didn't have my sidearm with me. But I know in most cases, black bears are usually pretty skittish. They usually run off anyway. Every time I've seen black bears, they were usually headed in the opposite direction from me anyway. Even though in most cases when I'm by myself, I'm usually pretty quiet. Um, so yeah, as far as I think in certain locations, yeah, we get you get a lot of your oaks, and your acorns and stuff like that around here, which the deer love. Uh, so I never really paid any special attention to as far as the different the seasons. Well, I take that back, I do, but as far as when I pay attention to the seasons, I try to look at. I usually observe like activity wise, what kind of activity happens during the different seasons and stuff. Um, I think later into the fall, early winter, some things seem slow in certain areas or not as active. Um, Now, yeah, and up here lately, I don't know how it's been down there and how but I know in the winters, but we've had very mild winters, which I think is throws a lot of the wildlife off. Because I was camping this past year. I was camping all the way through December, and it was very mild, comfortable weather. Of course, the cold weather didn't start striking until probably January up here. But yeah, I do try to pay attention to the seasons, and see what happens. But but yeah, like I said, my main focus is being when I pay attention to the wildlife. That's when that's one thing I do. I try to pay attention to the wildlife. 'Cause if I'm paying attention to the wildlife and understand what's happening with wildlife, anything out of the ordinary will stand out to me. That's usually where I pick up on a lot of possible Sasquatch occurrences or signs that you know. So um, and I know I'm rambling on, but but let me jump. I want to give Steve a chance to jump back in here too. So how about it, Steve?
I'm just listening to it all, I'm taking it all in. This is great. Really good.
Okay. Let's see. Hold on. We got more viewers on the live. Oh, hold on. Let me refresh this. Oh, wow. Hold up. We got more. I've been overlooking here.
Not doing his job.
Oh, the reason behind Nikki asked that question about the Big Thicket National Reserve. She said that she heard that they are super aggressive in that area. Uh, and I guess there's been a lot of research in that area. So that's why she brought that up. That's why she didn't know if you knew anything about that area.
The thing is, if they are very aggressive there, they have to be a reason why. Why are they so aggressive there than all other places in the United States?
Mm.
There must be something going on there that uh, people are not telling us, or something.
Now, like, well, she mentioned a lot of research in the area. Maybe perhaps that area is being pressured by a lot of population moving into that area. Uh, I don't know. Maybe there are too many people invading into that territory. Perhaps maybe they're getting,
Maybe, yeah, maybe they're disturbing their habitat.
yeah,
That's a lot of once water is very important to these animals, and habitat is very important to these animals. And if you start removing like an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, you're basically taking a lot away from these animals that really do need this habitat. They need,
right.
like rabbits to eat, or maybe their food supply or diminishing. There have to be a reason why there's something going on there.
I always
Mm.
thought maybe they were aggressive because of the hogs. Uh, because the hogs are so aggressive. And fighting for food and whatnot.
Right. See, also too is for Bigfoot, it's very easy for him to kill a hog because I mean there's
Yeah.
so many here. So that could be a reason, but I can't answer that.
No, I don't. That was just a thought. I don't know either.
Mm. Nikki said because they are big and mean. LOL. Just kidding. She's just being silly.
I'm big and mean, but I'm not aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. She said, "Oh yeah, the hogs are mean too." She said.
For sure.
Talk about tough bacon. Yeah. Um. Well, yeah. She said competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Competition between food sources. Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um. I forgot. There was something else I had. There was something I was going to ask you, and I should have wrote it down because it was on my mind. It'll come back to me here in a little bit. Hmm. Well, now let me ask you this. This is something different. This ain't what I was going to ask earlier. But as far as do you ever travel by any chance? As far as visiting other locations?
New York. I go to New York a lot.
Oh, do you?
Uh, yes.
Huh. Well, hey, you'll have to come here to Virginia. We're a lot closer than New York.
I've actually lived in Virginia Beach for around 20 years. I have some family in
Oh,
Virginia Beach. Yeah.
that's right. I remember you telling me that before. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got my good friend Greg Corbin. Greg Corbin, he's one of our ECBR researchers. He'll be up here again. He comes up this way and camps out with me a lot. He'll actually be up here in September camping out with us.
Cool.
So he may be bringing a few other people with him too. Which I'm hoping they do come. He said they're part of a paranormal group that wants to get involved with Bigfoot. So I think that should be interesting. Yeah. So yeah. uh,
Ghost will run through you. That Bigfoot's gonna run over you.
what's that?
I said the ghost will run through you, but that Bigfoot's gonna run over you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, supposedly our area does have, it's said that our area, because national forests up here, many years ago, well, actually, back in the 20s and 30s, it used to be part of a plantation and tree farms and stuff, and a lot of logging took place out here in the areas out here. And then the state itself actually bought it over and replaced a lot of the forests by growing trees and stuff. And ever since, they've they conducted a lot of control burns and stuff, which they do every year or every other year, in particular areas. Um, they've actually, well, they do, yeah, they'll work one set of area, then they'll move on to do a different area. Um, but yeah, I've actually found signs of out in my area. If you hike enough, you'll come across some of the old log roads, and you'll see evidence of the old. Uh, if you're careful enough, you'll see some of the old. I don't know what you call it, like there's one area I came across. It wasn't part of a natural stream, or it was something that was built. It almost looked like they built a well, and you can see where the water source actually. There's still it still holds water in this one spot. And then you can see pieces of old tractor logging equipment around the surrounding area. Uh, oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I just looked down at the live chat. Steve, Nikki told me to tell you that. Well, I guess that comment you made about you being big or large or something. She's told me to tell you that you're fluffy and fun. Ha ha ha. Uh-oh. I don't know. Steve's muted. I don't know if he hears me. Oh, maybe he had technical difficulties. I don't know. But yeah, there's been a lot of logging up in our areas, which and it's interesting because I've come across some pretty cool stuff, in the areas out here. Now, Baltimore. I know a lot of people. I know me personally because I've never been down there. So when I think of Texas, I know there's deserts in certain parts down there, but at the same time, people don't realize. I know that you've got a lot of real thick forest down there, and you have different ranches and stuff down there. But now, the area where you get a lot of activity and stuff from, I'm assuming it's pretty well wooded in that area, is it?
Yes, it is. If you come down, because down over here we have massive oak trees that grow along the creek bed areas,
Hmm.
uh, and massive, like 30, 40 inches in diameter, maybe even bigger. Sometimes 90 something inches in diameter, 3 feet in diameter, and
Right.
that would be excellent for a big animal like that to hide behind.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's an area where there is a lot of brush, but if you walk down the creek bed areas, they're actually like little roads where when it starts raining, everything just gets cleared off, and some of these trees have a lot of shade in it, where there's some things that actually don't grow in it. But when the sun hits it, it does grow like the wildflowers and things like that. But
Right.
there's some areas down that creek when they're like little roads in there.
Hmm. That's pretty cool. I know in our area, well, in a majority of my area, we have a lot of big giant pines. I mean, yeah, depends on what area you go into. My area has a lot. You got a lot of your laurel brush, a lot of your oaks and maples. And some of them are pretty big, but most of the large trees are your pines. We got some massive sized pines. Some of them pretty well large and round, and most of them are real just tall pines. And now I remember when I was up in Pennsylvania about 6 years ago. Uh, Man, I tell you, during my explorations up there in Shawnee State, around Shawnee State Park, that forest up around there, yeah, I couldn't believe I was coming across oak trees as big as they were. These trees, I've even seen a couple that were uprooted and hauled out where you could literally almost walk inside of them. That's how big they are. Like for the ones that are standing, it would probably take I don't know, maybe I don't think I'm um, exaggerating when I say this, but I believe you probably take 15 to 20 people and wrap your
Yeah,
arms around that tree, and that's
oh,
how
for
big these
sure.
trees were. And
Yep,
yeah,
you're
this
right.
is yeah in Pennsylvania. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I thought big trees like this were only out west, but yeah, they're up here on the East Coast too. And these are real heavy, thick forests. I think people underestimate a lot of the forests everywhere. If you don't a lot of your townsmen, a lot of your people that don't get out into the woods, even your hunters, your modern hunters. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them during the hunting seasons, a lot of them, very few of them will go into the woods and venture in, too deep. Um, but a lot of them will. If it's that time of season where they could run their dogs, they're gonna run dogs, but the hunters are gonna stay at their vehicle till their dog pushes something out to them. And the thing is, so I think a majority of people, unless you're a hiker or you are one of those hunters that get to venture out deep and you're not afraid to travel in deep into the woods, a lot of people don't realize what's in the woods. I mean, how heavily and how dense our forests are. Um, So I guess that's part of why we have so many. I guess you could say skeptics or non-believers. But at the same time, they're your skeptics. I'm sure they believe that they want to believe there could be something out there, but they're on that fence. But there, yeah, our forests, people don't, they neglect to realize how dense and heavily our forests are, that something such as a Sasquatch could be living in there. Because I mean, we know that there's mountain lions and stuff like that in our woods. They're not commonly seen, but we know they're there. um, Now, just like elk here, elk's more common down in Southwest Virginia. I have reason to believe that they are in my area. I never seen them, but the reason I believe, because I know we have big whitetail, but the elk in our what makes me believe that there's elk in my area? I've seen droppings. I've seen their scat, and I knew what I was finding wasn't belonging to your normal average whitetail deer. Um, I mean, I'm talking droppings larger than round droppings larger than uh, marbles. And I took pictures of this in the past, and I showed it, posted it before. Now I've actually had elk hunters from out west comment onto that. They said, "Yeah, that's elk scat. You got elk in there." I said, "Well, cool. I thought they might be in there. I just never seen them, because I know they've been taken during hunting season during in the southern parts of Virginia. So I mean, why not? Maybe they migrated. They worked their way up this way, traveling the part, the mountain regions, So, and I know they're in different parts of West Virginia. So, but there's a lot of animals and wildlife people neglect that could be in the areas here because they're not that observant or don't take the time to look good enough, So, but I think it goes the same way with Sasquatch. People, if somebody, you have people that are more quick to say, nah, Sasquatch it doesn't, not, well, Sasquatch doesn't exist. Well, you need to consider, or if they want to, I don't know the right way to put this. If you want to try to, what's the right way I'm saying that? Maybe it's better to say for a skeptic. For a skeptic, it's not believing either way. I would suggest getting out there. Try to observe for yourself. Try to find the answers for yourself. So, but I don't know. I'm not here to talk about skeptics or anything either, but you know, uh, I don't know. Steve, you want to jump in on this? I'm rambling again.
Man. Hey, Baltimore, do you ever do any horseback riding?
No, no, I don't. Not at all.
Okay. Well, I was just kind of curious because it seems to me, with the Patterson Gimlin thing, they were on horseback when they came across Patty, and I was wondering if that made any difference. What do you think that might have made a difference? Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am. They just spotted at the right. They just got there at the right place at the right time. I've always said this. Whoever's seen Bigfoot is like winning the lottery. Very few people see it, and if you see it, it's great. But it's like a lottery chance. You just never know if you're going to see it or not.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was always told if you keep looking, you won't find it, but when you least expect it, there it is.
Oh, exactly. Oh,
What
exactly.
happened to me?
Yeah.
That actually raises a question right here, and I've through some of my brief little research and studies on with Native American and Sasquatch. I know in some tribes, some legends that to see a Sasquatch, if somebody sees a Sasquatch, I believe it's been stated that if you see one, it wasn't by accident. You're blessed. It kind of say, I've heard people say, well, you've been blessed if you see one. You know, uh, and then I've also heard other legends and stuff say what you stated last night on the radio show was that um, it's hold on, oh man, I lost my train of thought. It's something you said. I wanted to quote it. Um, oh man, I hate when I do that because I was going with somewhere with this. um,
Don't worry, Baltimore. He does this all the time.
yeah, I get yeah, I get my mind. I had too much on my mind when I want to throw out there. Then the main thing I want to throw out there, I lose it.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
there's some people that actually say that you actually see this, it's a blessing, and there's some people that actually there's some people when they actually see it and they just don't talk about it because it could be
Yeah.
taboo for them. So
right,
you have your yin and your yang. So, but that's the thing. And then when I saw it, to me it was like my mind was telling me, "What is that? Uh, you just didn't see that." It was putting doubts on my head that I didn't see it, but I actually did.
right.
So to me, it was a blessing because I finally saw something that is totally not supposed to be there. But the thing is, again, it was for me, it was a blessing. It was a once in a lifetime experience, and I'm hoping to have another one. So
Okay, well, after you just quoted that, it came back to me because as it came back to me, I actually wrote it down on my notepad this time, so I won't forget it now. All right, now what you quoted last night, and I agree with it 100%. To me, it makes sense, and there's this. I know other natives share the same thing. As far as Sasquatch being a guardian of the forest, or some refer to him
right,
as the big spirit brother of the forest. Um,
right.
so I mean, and you were sharing this information last night. Um, you know, now I know this is something I want to be careful how I ask this so I can say it right. Now, with a lot of Native Americans, every known species that we do know that exists, as far as your deer, your say like the bald eagle, every Native American has they refer to it as the spirit of the eagle or the spirit of the wolf.
You have the
Now, when
spirit animal.
right, so referring to that that species, you know, are they still acknowledging? I mean, how they refer to it as a spirit now? But you at the same time you do believe it's flesh and blood, but yet they're referring to it as a spirit. Is there a certain sense that I'm not understanding on that part, or how would you explain that as far as being this like the spirit?
See, but the thing is, again, they are the spirits of the forest.
Okay,
It's even Native Americans believe that animals have a soul,
okay,
and then so that's part of their spirit. And there's sometimes that people will actually see a wolf, and then all of a sudden they'll be gone, and that would be the spirit of the wolf telling them something.
awesome.
Same thing with a Sasquatch. There's some people that actually has a Sasquatch as a spirit animal. I've actually seen a woman's shawl that had a Sasquatch on the back of the shawl.
Hmm.
But thing is, again, it basically is a spirit animal. It's a very important animal. So
Hmm.
you know, but the
Now,
thing is, again, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah,
um,
but the thing is, again, it's a very the animal again is a very spiritual animal. If you get an opportunity to see one, it's just amazing.
Now, do you believe like if we're in the woods and if they are around, do you believe that? I guess it's like kind of like in most animals, like a wolf. Like you see a wolf and they show signs of aggression. Like even a domestic dog, they sense that they know if we're scared or not. Do you believe that Sasquatch could be? Could you relate Sasquatch in the same way? Like, do they know maybe how we feel towards them? Perhaps when if we encounter them, or maybe yeah, like they maybe sense fear like a lot of animals do.
That's a good question. Gosh, that's an excellent one. The thing is, again, there's some again you if you talk to a lot of people that actually had encounters, and there's some times when you face up to them, they'll take off. Uh, but I I don't think that they. That's a good question.
Hmm.
The answer would be yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Um. Now I had a question. Um. Who's the young lady that's with you? I was asking. I was wondering if she had anything she wanted to share.
That's
If
my fiance, Lillian Casper.
Okay, if she doesn't want to get on the, it's okay. I was nervous. I had stage fright when I started doing this too.
No, I'm just trying to stay out of his spotlight.
You're fine. You're fine. um.
Um, a lot of the Native American questions and whatnot, you really have to think of it this way. Sasquatch or Bigfoot or whatever the tribes, because all the tribes have a different name for him. They do
Right.
consider him the ultimate spirit of the forest, the ultimate guardian of the forest. And they know what your intentions are when you walk into that forest. Some of the natives that we've encountered that admit having met one are guardians of some kind of the forest that they're entering. In fact, when Balde saw his, he was actually working at that ranch and was a guardian of that. So, you know, they know that they know that you're there to help them protect the land, and that's why they're going to show themselves to you.
Hmm. That's awesome.
Well, maybe the ones that are aggressive are the ones that are being aggressive to the ones that know that are not in the woods to be good. They're the ones that are in the woods to do harm, and that's why they're aggressive towards them.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing that I've thought of. We actually heard a story of a rather nice lady here who had gone out. She was a realtor who had gone out to take photos of a piece of property that had come up for sale, and it was throwing rocks at her, large rocks, big stuff, and frightened her enough that she took her grandkids and left. I mean, the only explanation that I can come up with, is it's protecting either its own young, a mating area, a den site, something like that. Any of those things are going to make any animal aggressive. It doesn't matter
Right.
who it is, be you, a bear, a dog, a Sasquatch, a squirrel, for that matter. If you stick your fingers in their nest, they're going to bite you.
Right. Yeah, defense. Yeah, protection. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It really does. Um, yeah, I think if you get too close to a bear, even though like up here the black bears, they usually they're skittish, but yeah, at the same time they're elusive to a certain extent. Um, but yeah, it's like if you get within their view or they smell or see you before you see them, they're usually gonna disappear on you. But now on the other case, I believe if you get too close, while you might come across a mother that might have young, yeah, then they're gonna get aggressive to defend. But so yeah, that makes sense. I believe this kind of goes along with something that Steve here presented, not long ago, referring to instinct, their natural basic instinct of a lot of animals. It's their instincts is also part of their natural behaviors, so that makes a lot of sense. So, uh, I do got to ask, you guys are using a selfie stick, aren't you?
No, actually, Baldy's holding it on his foot.
Oh, okay. Because the way it shifted over to you, I was like, he got to be. I got the finger. I said they got to be using a selfie stick.
Good balance.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Okay. I always thought about getting me a selfie stick. My daughter's got one for her phone. I was like, I'm gonna get me one eventually. So
Must be a soccer
that's cool. Okay. Yeah, Steve, did you want to throw anything in there? I'm gonna look at the.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because growing up I never got to know my father, and my mother always told me my grandmother was Apache,
Oh.
and I never got to meet that side of the family, and I don't know any of them or anything like that. But it's kind of weird because I've had this weird thing about when I hunt. If I shoot a deer, I always thank the deer for giving its life, and I always eat the heart. I cook it. Don't take me wrong. I don't eat it raw, but I always eat the heart of the deer. I actually cook it and eat it, and to me, it's one of the best parts of the deer. And I don't know where I got that trait from. It's the weirdest thing.
My father, I know he does the same thing when he gets his deer. When he gets a deer killed. Yeah, the heart and livers is what he eats.
Only no livers. Only no
Yeah.
livers. Oh, just heart.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Native Americans, a lot of the tribes believe that if you ingest the heart of the animal, it helps you to ingest part of that animal's spirit so that you can
Mm.
carry it with you always. It's a way of honoring that animal. You
Yeah.
can also, look at it as pulling in their bravery and their sense of honor and respect for the land.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's kind of weird 'cause that's the first thing. That's the first thing. I'll put the rest of the deer in the freezer, but I will bring that heart in and cook it right after I kill that deer. That's the first thing I eat.
Well, now, mind you, most of them just cut it out of the chest and take a bite out of it. So,
I know. I've tried that with a pig before, drinking the blood out of a pig because a buddy of mine tried to show me that, and that didn't work too well. Set me
Oh
off
man.
a little bit.
Huh. Okay. Um. Well, hey. Well, what I was asking you earlier, Baldemar, is do you plan on traveling anytime soon?
Probably next year.
Next year?
Probably next year in July.
not anytime
Okay, in
soon.
July.
Yeah, yeah. Not anytime soon.
Okay. Do you have a specific location lined up to travel to, or?
I am next year. I'm thinking about going to towards Virginia area, and
Okay.
then thinking about New York, and then going down to Nashville area and come back to Texas.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, if you could let me know ahead of time, as far as when you come into Virginia, perhaps we could set something up. I could plan ahead. We could meet up somewhere. You know,
Yeah, that'd
like I
be
said,
great.
I got my buddy Greg down in Virginia Beach. If that's because I know a lot of the area he looks into is the Dismal Swamp. He's right there. Dismal
Yeah.
Swamp, very close to him. He's gotten a lot of reports from there, and him and his son actually shared in a counter down that way
Wow.
just about a year or two ago. So when he shared that with me, he was excited when he shared that. So I was like, wow, yeah, because there's been a lot of reports down that way. I guess a lot of people don't realize because when you think of Virginia Beach, because you got Norfolk, you got kind of a small city out that way, but when you go to the right there on the direct to the coast, they don't realize what else is down there either. So
Correct.
you know, uh, you know, I've only lived out here in the Shenandoah Valley for it's been about almost 10 years now, 9, 10 years. I grew up on the east side of Virginia, and I fished a lot of the coastal shores on Virginia, like out there Tappahannock, and I've been to Virginia Beach a couple times, but I just north of there, I fished a lot of north on the coast and stuff up along there, but and grew up in a little bit northern parts of central Virginia, north of Richmond. So, but yeah, when I came out here, I mean, when I first learned about the area, I fell in love with it, and then before I moved out here, I was spending long weekends, before I transferred out here because the job I was at, I had a lot of vacation time, and see, my parents moved out here, and and I was, like I said, I was spending long weekends, using a lot of my vacation time to camp out here and get to know the area, and and like I said, I was like, the end of my lease was coming up, and I was like, I'm gonna move out here too. I said it's I like it. Even though, don't get me wrong, where I was living at was very rural and had a lot of woods and forests around there. I used to play in and hunt and stuff. We had property out there we hunted on all the time. So, but and then there was other locations surrounding it, that's had a lot of Bigfoot reports and stuff like that. But I fell in love with the mountains. I know our mountains out here is nothing compared to the mountains out there out west and everything. But I mean, you got to if anyone who's grew up around here, or has traveled through here knows the mountains that we do have, and they're beautiful sights. The overlay of the mountains of the valleys. We have the Shenandoah Valley. We have over in Nelson County. We got there's valleys out there. So. Uh, It's not no Colorado or nothing like that, or not those kind of mountains, but our mountains and our scenery is very beautiful, and the forests out here are very dense and very well, um, you know,
Yeah,
populated.
but West Virginia's more pretty, even though we're just a couple hours north of you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we're right just north of you. I'm just a couple hours north of you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, where I go research is, but there's parts of West Virginia I go into. So, my last field video I had, that was right there on the West Virginia line. Um, you might be familiar with that area, Steve. Uh,
Probably.
it's right before you get to Brandywine.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know that town.
yeah, I was on the Virginia side, but I was literally right there on the line. So,
There's nothing like these Appalachian Mountains. Nothing like them.
oh yeah. Yeah, that's. I think there's something about that area. I mean, because I'm gathering more and more reports and everything from those areas, and just north of there too. North of there, well, like the one gentleman I was talking about earlier. He's a skeptic, but he's actually a lot closer to you. He's probably only about an hour from you. Because if you're about 2 hours from me, the one location I go to is probably only an hour away from you. So. Uh, it's not that far from you, so I still have yet to get up to you. I know I keep talking about it, but I'll get up there.
It's
So,
coming Christmas.
so if we have a mild winter this year, yeah, I'm going to be camping out a lot towards later in the year. And my next camping trip is in September, so um, I can't wait to start doing some traveling because my Blazer's in the shop right now as we speak. I just got it there Friday. Of course, they're not open on weekends, so I don't know when they're going to get started on it. Hopefully soon. So, but yeah. Tell you what, we're getting ready to come to a close. Baltimore, do you have anything you want to share with us? Anything you want to say before we go off air?
I'm pretty sure I said enough tonight. So, yeah. And I would like to thank you very much for you having me on your show. I really do appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, I had last night being the first time I did the live radio show. We definitely had, I wish we had more time on it. I really did. Eventually, I will get us on more time. I want you to feel free to, anytime I do that, feel free to jump on when we have other open shows. Now, my next show is scheduled for Wednesday, August 3rd. Um, I know a lot of people will not be able to jump on or view it, but after I go off air, they'll be able to watch it afterwards after it goes off. Also, I upload it to my YouTube like I did last night's show. I have it on YouTube, the channel right here. Um, but yeah, Wednesday, August 3rd, I'm having Ty Chapman and Corey Holden, and they're from Iowa. Um, they are considered the I don't know if I'm saying it right, Bonaparte Bigfooters. That's how they want to be labeled. She makes sure she corrects me on that. She wants to get that name out there. So yeah, the Bonaparte Bigfooters from Iowa. Again, that's Ty Chapman and Corey Holman. We're gonna have them live. The time. This is why I say that a lot of the time is it's going to be 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. I would have had it later, but the only problem is I'm limited when I get to pick my times. I could have picked a later time, but it would have been way too late for me, especially during the work week, because I could have scheduled it for Friday. I didn't mind doing a late one on Friday, but but after Wednesday, I'm going to be scheduling another one. I don't have no specific time or day on that yet. So now I do appreciate you, you agreeing to come on. It's been an awesome show, and it's actually been very educational. And I love hearing your input and your experiences and your view on things. We definitely got to get you back on here again. And like I said, when we do have our radio shows, feel free to call in and participate and throw your input on there. It's going to be a couple weeks till I get a longer sessions. Right now I'm only limited to 30 minutes on it. So, but when we have longer shows, I think going to be awesome. So for our viewers, I've been putting it out there. If you're not familiar with, I am now the host of uh, the Squatch Zone Radio, which is powered by Blog Talk Radio. For those who are familiar with Blog Talk Radio, I am now the host of the Squatch Zone Radio. So when you see that, check that out. I do have my shows uploaded. Our first episode that was last night. It's on the YouTube channel BCBRO98. So if you're not subscribed, feel free to do so now, so you can stay on top of everything. Steve, do you have any last words you want to throw out there?
The only thing I can say, Baltimore, is to be honest, as much as I've been on this show, you have got to be my most favorite person we have interviewed. And I'm glad you're a friend of mine on Facebook now, because you and I are going to keep in touch. I swear, awesome. For anybody listening, if you go to YouTube, look up American Legends and Myths with Lale and Shaky, and we just started that show last week, and right now the first show is the Mothman. That's been up since Friday, and we'll be recording a new show this week on the Lost Colony, the Roanoke Island Lost Colony. That'll be up Friday. Thank you very much.
Well, with that being said, Steve, could you do me a favor and ask Lael if she would like to be on a radio show, and we could talk about that, maybe get a little promotion going on. We could throw that out there if she see if she wants to participate on the radio show.
That I will.
Okay, I think she might like that. So
I'll talk to her.
Absolutely. Again, Baltimore, thank you very much for jumping on, and it was an amazing show. And I don't know your fiance's name. I want to thank her too.
Yeah, Lillian.
You're welcome.
Hey, don't be shy. You know, we're all open. You know, and feel free to.
I'm just the one that keeps him organized.
Oh, okay.
Y'all got like I do. I have a wife. That's it, man. If I need anything, I go to my wife.
Well, you're doing a great job, man. I guess we all need a woman behind us to keep us straight, right?
I could not function if it wasn't for mine.
I had two behind me at one time, but they failed. That's why I'm divorced. So. Well, one good thing came out of it. I got custody of my daughter, so that's a good thing. So
beautiful young lady.
Yeah, thank you. Well, to our viewers, again, thank you very much, and again, check out the new Blog Talk Radio show, The Squatch Zone. Our next episode, August 3rd, with Ty Chapman and Corey Holman. I'll be posting that link up very shortly. So, everyone, good night and God bless, and we're going off.